This is a skull here at the Bone Museum with scaphocephaly. But what is it? Let's take a look. Scaphocephaly is a form of craniosynostosis, which is a premature fusion of one or more sutures in the skull. The human skull is not one full bone. It's actually 22 individual bones that fuse together over the course of an individual's life. They're connected by these sutures, which start to fuse at around 30 years old. Scaphocephaly is when the sagittal suture, which runs down the midline of the skull, fuses too early. Let's take a look at what it does. If we look at the back of the skull, we'll notice that this suture that would normally be here down the middle is gone. With a premature fusion of the sutures, it doesn't leave the brain ample room that it needs to grow and develop properly. So it forces the brain to grow long and narrow. It also pushes the brain upwards, creating something called a boat-shaped head. That is actually where the term scaphocephaly comes from. It is derived from the Greek word scaphos, which means boat. Now, while this skull does have scaphocephaly, it is relatively mild. Now here's an example of extreme scaphocephaly. Now to better visualize it, let's compare this to a regular skull. Scaphocephaly is easier to visualize when you compare it to a skull with a typical cranial shape. Now you can see the sagittal suture being very present on the skull without scaphocephaly and non-existent on the skull with scaphocephaly. With scaphocephaly, typically only the coronal and the lambdoid suture are visible. And here's a side profile of it. And if we remove the skull cap, we can really see just how narrow it is. You can really see the boat-shaped appearance. Scaphocephaly is the most common form of craniosynostosis, making up about 40 to 60% of all cases, or 1 in every 2,500 births. We are currently doing an exhibit on craniosynostosis, and if you would like to come see it for yourself, make sure to visit us at the Bone Museum in Brooklyn, New York.